Imagine waking up one foggy London morning, staring into the mirror, only to see a stranger's face staring back, your memories shattered like glass. What if that stranger was you? Chapter 1. The Enigmatic Arrival. Picture this. It's a crisp autumn evening in 1930s London, where the streets are alive with the hum of horse-drawn carriages and the distant chime of Big Ben. Our story begins in a quaint, little apartment on Whitehaven Mansions, home to the world's most meticulous detective, Hercule Poirot. With his perfectly waxed mustache, his egg-shaped head, and those sharp little gray cells always buzzing with activity, Poirot is the picture of order in a chaotic world. But tonight, chaos is about to knock on his door literally. Poirot is sitting in his favorite armchair, sipping a tisane, that's herbal tea, for those of us who aren't as fancy as him, and flipping through the evening newspaper. The headlines are full of the usual stock market worries, political scandals, and whispers of trouble brewing in Europe. But Poirot isn't interested in any of that. He's just finished solving a tricky case involving a stolen diamond necklace, and he's looking forward to a quiet night. His friend, Captain Hastings, is out for the evening, probably chasing some golf ball or flirting with a lady at a dinner party. Poirot's valet, George, has just served him a light supper of poached eggs and toast, arranged with perfect symmetry on the plate. Suddenly there's a frantic pounding at the door. George opens it, and in stumbles a young woman, drenched from the rain that's just started pouring outside. She's in her mid-20s with wild auburn hair matted to her face, wearing a sodden coat that's seen better days. Her eyes are wide with terror, and she's clutching a small leather satchel like it's her lifeline. "Monsieur Poirot," she gasps, collapsing onto the nearest chair without waiting for an invitation. "You must help me. I don't know who I am." Poirot raises an eyebrow, his curiosity piqued. He sets down his tisane and motions for George to bring a towel and some hot cocoa for the visitor. "Calm yourself, mademoiselle," he says, in that soothing Belgian accent of his. "Hercule Poirot is at your service. But first, tell me, what is this about not knowing who you are? Surely everyone knows their own name." The woman shakes her head, tears mixing with the rain on her cheeks. "That's just it, I don't. I woke up this morning in a dingy room in some boarding house near the Thames. My head was throbbing like I'd been hit with something heavy. There was a mirror on the wall, and when I looked in it, the face staring back, ... It felt wrong, familiar, but not mine. I found this satchel under the bed, with some clothes, a few pounds, and these." She opens the satchel and pulls out a handful of items. A cracked pocket watch, faded photograph of a family picnicking in the countryside, a ticket stub from a train to Paris, and most intriguingly a shard of what looks like a broken mirror, wrapped in a handkerchief stained with what might be blood. Poirot leans forward, his eyes gleaming. He loves a good puzzle, and this one smells of mystery from a mile away. "And you have no memory at all? No recollection of your life before this morning?" he asks, twirling his mustache thoughtfully. "Fragments," she whispers, "just bits and pieces. I remember a man's voice, angry, shouting about betrayal. A woman's laughter, cold and mocking. The sound of glass shattering. Pain. Ain't in my head. But names, places, nothing solid. I asked around the boarding house, but no one knew me. The landlady said I'd checked in last night under the name Evelyn Hart, but that doesn't ring any bells. I saw your name in the paper from that diamond case, and I thought, if anyone can piece this together, it's you." Poirot nods slowly, his mind already racing. Amnesia cases aren't new to him. He's dealt with faked identities, lost heirs, and even a murderer who pretended to forget his crimes. But something about this woman feels genuine. Her hands tremble as she hands him the items, and he examines them one by one. The pocket watch is engraved with the initials J.R., not matching Evelyn Hart. The photograph shows a happy family. A stern-looking father, a smiling mother, to children a boy and a girl around 10 years old. The girl has auburn hair, just like the woman before him.
Oh.
But the photo is old, yellowed with age. The train ticket is dated 2 weeks ago, from London to Paris and back, but no name on it. And the mirror shard sharp, irregular, with a faint trace of fingerprint powder. No, just dust.
Ash.
But the blood stain is fresh, or at least recent.
What?
Me, Mademoiselle, Poirot says. Do you have any enemies? Anyone who might want to harm you, or erase you?
Wait.
She bites her lip. I don't know. But when I was walking here, I felt like someone was following me. Shadows in the fog, footsteps that stopped when I did. I ran the last few blocks. Poirot stands up, pacing the room with his hands clasped behind his back. This could be a case of assault, perhaps a robbery gone wrong, leading to head trauma and memory loss. Or something more sinister, identity theft, a family secret, even espionage. The 1930s are full of spies and double agents, after all. He decides to start with the basics. George, prepare the guest room. Mademoiselle. Hart, you will stay here tonight.
What?
It is not safe for you to wander the streets. Tomorrow, we will visit this boarding house and speak to the landlady. Perhaps Hastings can join us. He is away with the ladies. As George leads the woman away to dry off, Poirot sits back down, staring at the items on his table. He arranges them neatly, like pieces of a jigsaw puzzle. The fragments of a broken identity, he murmurs to himself. That is what this is. But Hercule Poirot will reassemble them, one shard at a time. The next morning dawns bright, chasing away the previous night's storm. Poirot, dressed in his impeccable suit, complete with a fresh flower in his lapel, wakes early. He's all ready. Sent a note to Captain Hastings, who arrives bleary-eyed but enthusiastic. Poirot, old chap. What's this about a damsel in distress? Sounds right up my alley. Together with the woman whom they've decided to call Evelyn for now. They take a taxi to the boarding house in the East End. It's a run-down building, with peeling paint and a sign that creaks in the wind. Mrs. Wilkins' lodgings clean. Rooms, reasonable rates. Mrs. Wilkins herself is a stout woman in her 50s, with a no-nonsense apron and a cigarette dangling from her lips. She checked in last night, she says, eyeing Evelyn suspiciously. Paid in cash. No luggage. Except that satchel. Seemed jumpy, like she was running from something. Room 7, upstairs. They climb the creaky stairs to room 7. It's small. The single bed, a wash basin, and that mirror on the wall, now sporting a fresh crack, as if someone had punched it. Evelyn gasps. That's where I woke up. The pain. It must have been from hitting my head on something. Poirot inspects the room carefully. Under the bed, he finds a discarded newspaper from yesterday, with a circled article about a missing heiress from a wealthy family in Kent. The description matches Evelyn, Auburn. Hair, mid-20s, last seen boarding a train to London. Jane Rutherford, Poirot reads aloud. Daughter of industrialist Sir Reginald Rutherford. Vanished 2 weeks ago after a family argument. Reward for information. Evelyn or Jane sinks onto the bed. Jane ... That sounds familiar. JR on the watch. The photo. That must be... My family? Hastings whistles. Blimey, Poirot. She's an heiress with amnesia. This is like something out of a novel. But Poirot isn't smiling. He spots something else. A faint footprint on the dusty floor. Too large for Evelyn's shoes. And on the windowsill, a smudge of what looks like glove leather. Someone was here after you left, mademoiselle, searching for something, perhaps. They leave the boarding house with more questions than answers. Back at Whitehaven Mansions, Poirot telephones the Rutherford estate. Sir Reginald's voice booms over the line. Jane? You found her? Thank God. I'll send a car immediately. But Evelyn hesitates. I don't remember them. What if I don't want to go back? Poirot places a reassuring hand on her shoulder. We will uncover the truth first. Trust in the little gray cells, as the chapter closes. The pieces are starting to form a picture, but it's far from complete. Who's following Evelyn? Your broken mirror and blood. And what family's secret led to her disappearance? Stick around for Chapter 2, where we dive into the Rutherford family estate and uncover the first major clue. Chapter 2. Shadows at Rutherford Manors. The sleek black car sent by Sir Reginald Rutherford pulls up to Whitehaven Mansions. Poirot, Hastings, and Evelyn still grappling with the name Jane step inside, the engine purring like a contented cat. The drive to Kent takes them through rolling countryside, where golden fields give way to ancient oaks and hedgerows bursting with late-blooming wildflowers. Rutherford Manor looms ahead, a grand Georgian estate with ivy-clinging walls, and tall chimneys and windows that seem to watch their approach like wary eyes. It's the kind of place that screams old money, built on the backs of factories churning out steel and machinery during the industrial boom. Sir Reginald himself waits on the stone steps. A burly man in his 60s with a bushy beard and a tweed suit that strains at the seams, his face etched with worry lines that deepen as he spots Evelyn. "Jane, my girl," he booms, enveloping her in a bear hug that she endures stiffly, her body tense like a coiled spring. "We've been beside ourselves. Your mother hasn't slept a wink since you vanished." He ushers them into the cavernous drawing room, where polished wood panels reflect the flicker of a roaring fire. Lady Rutherford, a frail woman with silver-streaked hair pinned in a severe bun, rises from a velvet chaise longue, her hands fluttering like trapped birds. "Darling, where have you been?" "We thought the worst kidnappers, or worse," is laced with a mix of relief and accusation, and Evelyn notices how her mother's eyes dart to Sir Reginald, as if seeking permission to speak. Poirot, ever observant, notes the undercurrents immediately. The room is filled with family portraits, stern ancestors in military uniforms, hunting scenes with hounds and foxes, and a recent one of the Rutherfords, Sir Reginald, Lady Amelia, a son in his early 30s looking bored, and Jane smiling, faintly beside them. But there's tension in the air, thick as the Persian rug underfoot. Hastings, trying to lighten the mood, compliments the house. "Jolly impressive place you've got here, Sir Reginald. Must be smashing for garden parties," Sir Reginald grunts, pouring brandy for the men and sherry for the ladies from a crystal decanter, built by my great-grandfather. "Solid as British steel. Now, Jane, what on earth's happened?" "The police were. Eustace said you'd probably run off with some chap." Evelyn sits on the edge of a chair, fingering the pocket watch from her satchel. I don't remember much. Just waking up confused with these things." She lays out the items on a mahogany table, the watch, the photo, the ticket stub, the mirror shard. Lady Amelia gasps at the photo. "That's from our picnic at the lake, years ago. You were such a happy child then." Her voice cracks, and she dabs at her eyes with a lace handkerchief. Sir Reginald peers at the watch. "JR, that's your initials, Jane. It was your grandfather's. You always carried it for luck." But Poirot spots a flicker of unease in the man's eyes when he handles the mirror shard. It's quickly setting it down as if it burns. The brother, Edward Rutherford, enters then. A lanky fellow with slick-back hair and a cigarette holder dangling from his lips. He's dressed in a sharp pinstripe suit, exuding the air of a city playboy rather than a country gent. "So the prodigal sister returns," he drawls, leaning against the mantelpiece. "Heard the commotion. You look like you've seen a ghost. Or forgotten one." His laugh is forced, and Evelyn feels a chill as she detects sarcasm, or something darker. Poirot decides it's time to probe Monsieur Rutherford. He addresses Edward. "Where were you when your sister disappeared?" Edward shrugs. "In London, on business. Father's factories don't run themselves."
Oh, Sir Reginald nods vigorously.
Edwards, my right-hand man, handles the accounts. As the family chatters, Poirot excuses himself to stretch his legs and wanders the manor with Hastings in tow. They start in Jane's bedroom, a feminine space with floral wallpaper, a four-poster bed, and a vanity table cluttered with perfumes and jewelry. Hastings whistles. Not bad digs. Wonder what made her bolt. Poirot examines the room meticulously. Under the bed he finds a loose floorboard, prying it up to reveal a hidden compartment. Inside, a bundle of letters tied with ribbon, yellowed, and creased. The top one is addressed to "My dearest Jane," from someone signing as a... The content is passionate, talks of forbidden love, plans to elope to Paris, threats from a jealous rival. "Ah," Poirot murmurs. The train ticket to Paris, perhaps not a solo journey. Hastings reads over his shoulder. "Blimey," sounds like. A lover's tiff. They pocket the letters for now and move to the study, Sir Reginald's domain. Bookshelves groan under leather-bound volumes on engineering and finance. A massive desk dominates the center. Poirot spots a safe behind a painting of a fox hunt cliché, but effective. It's locked, but on the desk lies a ledger, open to recent entries. Hastings flips through. Look here, large withdrawals marked as personal expenses, and notes about a rival company trying a takeover. Poirot nods. Money troubles? Or blackmail? Their sleuthing is interrupted by a scream from downstairs. Rushing back, they find Lady Amelia fainted on the floor, Evelyn kneeling beside her. She saw the mirror shard and went pale, Evelyn explains, muttered something about the accident before collapsing. Sir Reginald revives his wife with smelling salts, but her eyes are haunted. It was nothing, she whispers, just an old memory. Pressed by Poirot, she relents. Years ago, there was a tragedy. Jane's twin sister, Eliza, died in a fall from the attic window. The mirror in her room shattered when she hit the ground below. Jane was there, saw it all, traumatized her terribly. Evelyn's face drains of color. Twin, I don't remember. But fragments flicker, 2 girls playing, laughter turning to screams, glass breaking. Edward smirks from the corner. Ancient history. Jane was always the sensitive one. But Poirot senses evasion. Why hide a twin's death? And the mirror shard, could it be from that old accident or something recent? Evening falls. The group dines in the grand hall, silver clinking under chandelier light. Conversation turns stilted. Sir Reginald boasts of business deals. Lady Amelia picks at her food. Edward excuses himself early for a phone call. Evelyn, overwhelmed, retires to her room, but not before whispering to Poirot, I feel eyes on. Me here, like in London, and dreams nightmares of falling. That night, Poirot and Hastings keep watch from guest rooms. Around midnight, a creak in the hallway draws Poirot out. He glimpses a shadow slipping into the study. Following stealthily, he peers through the keyhole, Edward fumbling with the safe. It opens, revealing stacks of cash and documents. Pulls out a will, scanning it hurriedly, then replaces it with a curse. Not enough, he mutters. Poirot retreats, mind worry. Inheritance motives. Morning brings a visitor, Inspector Japp from Scotland Yard, summoned by Sir Reginald Just. In case, Japp, with his bulldog face and no-nonsense manner, shakes Poirot's hand. Fancy meeting you here, Poirot. Heard about the missing heiress? Any funny business? Poirot shares select details, the amnesia, the items, the hidden letters. Japp examines. The mirror shard. Blood's recent, I'd say. A lab could confirm. He questions the family. Sir Reginald admits to a heated argument with Jane before she left about marrying an unsuitable suitor. Lady Amelia confesses Jane had been acting strange, talking of ghosts from the past. Edward claims ignorance, but his alibi for the night Jane vanished. A club in Soho, witnesses aplenty. Evelyn, listening, has a flash. The angry man's voice. From her fragments it matches Sir Reginald's bellow, the cold laughter. Perhaps Lady Amelia's hiding pain. But the major clue emerges when Poirot revisits the attic, site of Eliza's death. Dust motes dance in beams from a cracked window, the same one. Finds scratches on the sill, as if from a struggle, not a fall. And wedged in a floor crack, another mirror shard, matching the one in Evelyn's satchel. It's not an accident, Poirot. Declares to Hastings, murder or suicide covered up. Connecting it to Jane's amnesia, perhaps, she witnessed something anew. Triggering a blow to the head as they prepare to leave for London, Poirot confronts the family subtly. The past shatters. Like glass, but pieces can cut deep. Sir Reginald blusters, Lady Amelia weeps, Edward sneers. Evelyn in the car clutches the letters. Could it be Arthur? A name echoes. Poirot smiles enigmatically. We shall find this Arthur, but beware shadows lengthen. With the estate fading in the rear view, questions multiply. Was Eliza's death foul play? Does Edward plot against the inheritance? And who is a... Hold tight for Chapter 3, where a trip to Paris uncovers a secret lover and a dangerous alliance. Chapter 3. Whispers across the channel, the train to Paris rattles through the French countryside. Its rhythm, a steady pulse against the backdrop of emerald fields and sleepy villages. Hercule Poirot sits in a plush first-class carriage, his polished shoes tapping lightly as he studies the bundle of letters tied with ribbon, each one a breadcrumb leading to the elusive Beside him, Evelyn, still uncertain if she's truly Jane, Rutherford gazes out the window, her auburn hair catching the morning light. Captain Hastings, ever the optimist, flips through a French phrasebook muttering, "Parlez-vous anglais?" to himself, earning a faint smile from Evelyn. They're bound for Paris, chasing the clue of the train ticket stub from Evelyn's satchel, dated 2 weeks ago. Poirot's little gray cells hum with possibility. Was this journey tied to her? Disappearance? Her amnesia? Or the shadowy figure trailing her in London? The decision to head to Paris came swiftly after leaving Rutherford Manor. Poirot had spread the letters on his desk at Whitehaven Mansions. Their ink faded, but their passion vivid. Written in a bold, looping hand, they spoke of secret meetings. In Parisian cafes, promises of a new life, and warnings about those who would tear us apart. The last letter, dated just before Evelyn's disappearance, mentioned a rendezvous at Café de la Paix near the Opera Garnier. "If you were in Paris, Mademoiselle," Poirot had said, "we must retrace your steps. The city of light may illuminate the shadows of your mind." Arriving in Paris, the trio steps into a whirlwind of elegance and chaos. The streets buzz with chic Parisians, street vendors hawking chestnuts, and the distant strains of an accordion. Poirot leads them to Café de la Paix, a grand establishment with gilded mirrors and waiters gliding like dancers. They settle at a corner table, the air thick with the scent of espresso and fresh croissants. Evelyn scans the room, her brow furrowing. "This feels familiar," she murmurs. The clink of cups, the murmur of voices. "I think I was here." A waiter, an older man with a pencil-thin mustache, approaches. Poirot, in flawless French, inquires about a young woman matching Evelyn's description visiting 2 weeks ago. The waiter nods. "Oui, mademoiselle with red hair. She sat here with a gentleman." They argued quietly, but intense. He left. In a huff, and she followed soon after. Poirot presses for details. The gentleman, dark hair, well-dressed, English accent, but spoke French like a native, carried a silver cigarette case. Evelyn's hand flies to her satchel, pulling out the photograph. "Could it be the boy from this?" she asks, pointing to the young lad in the picnic scene. The waiter shrugs. "Possible, but grown up now, Nan." Poirot pockets the description, his mind sketching a portrait of a perhaps Arthur. The lover from the letters. Their next stop is the hotel listed on the ticket stub, Hotel du Louvre. A stone's throw from the Seine, the concierge, a wiry man with a penchant for gossip, recalls Evelyn Orjankshecking, in under the name Evelyn Hart. "She seemed nervous," he says, kept looking over her shoulder. "Paid for one night, left early." Her companion, the Englishman, booked a separate room but was gone by morning. Poirot examines the register. Arthur Langley, London. The name sparks a flicker in Evelyn's eyes. Arthur. Yes, that's it. I can almost see his face, smiling, then angry. But the memory slips away, like water through fingers. Hastings, ever practical, suggests checking the room. The concierge obliges, leading them to a modest suite overlooking the Louvre's courtyard. It's been cleaned, but Poirot's keen eyes spot a hairpin under the dresser, auburn strands caught in it. Evelyn touches it, and a fragment surfaces. I see. Bridge the Seine at dusk, Arthur saying, "We can't trust them." Poirot nods. Them who? Your family? Or others? He searches the room further, finding a torn scrap of paper in the waste bin missed by the maids. It's a note in the same looping hand. Meet me at Père Lachaise midnight. Trust no one. Dan. Odd place for a tryst. That evening, under a sky streaked with clouds, they head to Père Lachaise, its ancient graves casting long shadows. The cemetery is a maze of crumbling tombs and weeping angels, the air heavy with moss and silence. Poirot, unfazed by the eerie setting, leads them to the section mentioned in the note near Oscar Wilde's tomb. Evelyn's breath catches. I was here. I remember running, my heart pounding.
What?
They find no one, but Poirot spots fresh cigarette. Butts French Gauloises, not the English brand Arthur might use. And nearby, etched into a gravestone, a crude symbol, a broken circle with a slash through it, mark of warning, Poirot muses, or a signature. As they leave Hastings, notices a figure watching from behind a mausoleum tall, in a dark coat, face obscured. He gives chase, but the figure vanishes into the labyrinth. Blast it, Poirot. We're being followed again. Evelyn shivers, clutching the satchel tighter. Poirot's eyes narrow. But they are careless. These cigarette butts, they betray a presence. Back at the hotel, Poirot telephones Inspector Japp in London, asking him to dig into Arthur Langley. Japp's gruff voice crackles through. Langley, this minor aristocrat, runs with a fast crowd. Rumored to be in debt, mixed up with some shady financiers. I'll check his movements. We're also request a trace on the broken circle symbol. Perhaps. A gang? A secret society? While waiting, they dine at the hotel. Evelyn picking at her coq au vin. She shares another fragment. Arthur and I, we planned to run away. But someone found out. There was a fight. Glass breaking.
Out!
Poirot leans in. The mirror shard, perhaps. A struggle in London, before you fled here? The next morning, a telegram from Japp arrives. Arthur Langley was in Paris 2 weeks ago, seen at a nightclub with known black market dealers. And the symbol? Linked to a group called Les Eclats, a shadowy network dealing in stolen art and secrets across Europe. Poirot's mustache twitches. Les Eclats the shards. Broken circle, a broken mirror. This is no coincidence. Theorizes Evelyn may have stumbled into something bigger, a family scandal tied to criminal dealings, perhaps explaining her father's mysterious ledger entries and Edward's late-night safe rummaging. Before leaving Paris, Poirot visits a contact Madame Dubois, an old friend who runs a discreet antique shop near Montmartre. She's a font of underworld gossip, her shop a front for trading secrets. Over cognac, she confirms Les Eclats' presence in Paris, known for blackmailing wealthy families. They target heirs, dig up dirt, then squeeze, she says, eyeing. Evelyn, your face. Sherry, I've seen it in their circles. Be careful. She hands Poirot a name. Victor Moreau, a low-level Eclat operative. Last seen near the Gare du Nord at the station. They spot a man matching Moreau's descriptions worthy, with a scar across his cheek, smoking a Gauloise. Poirot approaches, posing as a buyer for art. Moreau is cagey, but let's slip that. The English girl caused trouble, knew too much about the deal. Before Poirot can press further, Moreau bolts, disappearing into the crowd. Hastings curses their luck, but Poirot is undeterred. He confirms our mademoiselle was involved. But in what? A lover's plot or something deeper? As the train back to London departs, Evelyn clutches the letters, her memory stirring. Arthur wanted to protect me, she says. But from what? My family, or these? Shards. Poirot gazes out at the fading French landscape. We return to London with a name, a symbol, and a scent of danger. The puzzle grows, but the pieces align. The chapter ends with the train's whistle cutting through the dusk, carrying them toward answers or deeper mysteries. Stay tuned. For Chapter 4, where a confrontation with Arthur Langley unveils a betrayal that shakes Evelyn's fragile trust. Chapter 4. The sting of betrayal, the London fog, wraps the city like a shroud as Poirot. Hastings and Evelyn step off the train at Victoria Station, the air thick with coal smoke and the clamor of porters. Evelyn's face is pale, her fingers tracing the edges of the letters in her satchel, the name Arthur Langley, now a beacon in her fractured memories. Poirot, his green eyes sharp beneath his Homburg hat, has already wired Inspector Japp to arrange a meeting with Langley, tracked to a gentleman's club in Mayfair, The trail of Les Eclats, the broken circle symbol, and Evelyn's fleeting recollection of a fight by the Seine have tightened the knot of this mystery. Hastings, bundled in his overcoat, mutters, "I say, Poirot, this Langley chap sounds like bad news. Debts. Shady deals. Hope we're not walking into a trap." Poirot's mustache twitches. Traps, mon ami, are only dangerous if one does not see them coming. They hail a cab to the Athenaeum Club, a bastion of polished brass and old world charm, where London's elite sip whiskey and trade secrets. Inside, the air smells of cigar smoke and leather-bound books. Arthur Langley awaits in a private room, a tall man in his early 30s with dark, slick-back hair and a charm that feels practiced. His tailored suit can't hide the nervous twitch in his jaw or the way his fingers drum on a silver cigarette case matching the waiter's description from Paris. "Monsieur Poirot," he says, rising with a forced smile. "And Jane?" His eyes linger on Evelyn, a mix of relief and wariness. She stiffens, her memory flickering. A smile by candlelight, then a raised voice, a slap. "Arthur," she whispers, "why do I feel like I trusted you, and shouldn't have?" Poirot wastes no time. "Monsieur Langley, you were in Paris with Mademoiselle Rutherford 2 weeks ago. You argued at Café de la Paix. She returned to London with no memory, a blow to the head, and a satchel of clues. Explain." Langley's smile falters. He lights a cigarette knot, a Galloway's, but an English Dunhill, and exhales a cloud. "Got complicated," he begins. "Jane and I, we were in love, wanted to marry, start fresh abroad. Her father disapproved, called me a fortune hunter. We went to Paris to plan our escape, but things went wrong." He claims Jane grew paranoid, speaking of family secrets and someone following her. "She stormed out after our row. I thought she'd gone back to Kent. Next I heard she was missing." Hastings snorts. "Convenient story, old boy. What about your debts?" "Jap says you owe thousands to some unsavory types." Langley's eyes dart to the door. "That's my business," he snaps, but Poirot presses, holding up the torn note from the Hotel du Louvre. "Meet me at Père Lachaise, midnight. Trust no one." Langley pales. "I didn't write that. Jane was meeting someone else, she wouldn't say who. Followed her to the cemetery, saw her talking to a man with a scar. She ran off. I lost her in the dark." Evelyn's hands tremble. "Victor Moreau," she murmurs, the name from Madame Dubois sparking a vision. A scarred face, a hissed warning by a tomb.
Alley 1.
"You were there, Arthur, but you didn't help me."
Hours.
Gay sharpens. "Monsieur, you know of Les Eclats. We, the broken circle, their mark. Were you involved in their schemes?" Langley denies it, but his cigarette case clatters to the table, revealing an engraved symbol, a broken circle with a slash. He stammers, "A gift from a friend, means nothing." Poirot exchanges a glance with Hastings. Lie poorly told. Leaving. "The club," Evelyn is shaken. "I loved him, didn't I? But he's hiding something." Poirot agrees. "His story cracks like thin ice. We must verify his movements." They head to Scotland Yard, where Jap awaits with a dossier. Langley's debts tied to a financier named Hugo Crane, rumored to bankroll Les Eclats. Crane operates from a warehouse in Limehouse, a gritty dockside district. Jap warns, "Dangerous crowd, Poirot, smugglers, blackmailers. If Jane crossed them, no wonder she's a target." He's had the mirror shard analyzed. The blood is human, typo, fresh within days of Evelyn's appearance at Poirot's door. "Could be hers," Jap says, "or someone she tangled with." That evening, Poirot decides to infiltrate Crane's warehouse, suspecting it's the hub of Les Eclats' London operations. Disguised as dock workers, Hastings grumbling about. His itchy cap, they slip into Limehouse under cover of dusk. The warehouse is a fortress of crates and flickering gaslights, guarded by burly men with scarred knuckles. Poirot overhears a conversation. "The Rutherford girl knows about the shipment. If she talks, we're done." Another voice, accented French, replies, "Moreau's handling it. She won't remember long." Hastings whispers, "Shipment drugs?" Poirot shushes him, spotting a crate marked with the broken circle symbol. filled with what looks like forged paintings and antique jewels. A sudden noise, a dropped crate alerts a guard. Poirot and Hastings duck behind barrels, but Evelyn, who insisted on coming despite protests, freezes. A man with a scar, Victor Morag, grabs her arm. "You again," he snarls. "Thought you'd forgotten." Hastings leaps out, tackling Moreau, but more goons appear. Scuffle ensues, punches thrown in the dim light. Poirot, with surprising agility, trips a thug with his cane, buying time for them to escape through a side door. They sprint to a waiting cab, hearts pounding. Evelyn gasps. "He knew me. Said I'd seen something I shouldn't." Back at Whitehaven Mansions, Poirot pieces it together. Lesiclat steal and blackmail and art theft. You, mademoiselle, witnessed a transaction, perhaps in Paris, perhaps London. A blow to the head erased your memory, but not their fear of you. Evelyn recalls a new fragment. A dark room, crates like those in the warehouse, Arthur arguing with a scarred man. He said, "She's a liability now." Was he talking about me? Her trust in Arthur crumbles, the sting of betrayal sharp. Poirot examines the letters again, noticing a faint watermark on one, Crane's company logo. Langley was no innocent lover, he says. He lured you into their web. Hastings, nursing a bruised jaw, grumbles. So Langley's in bed with these crooks? Charming fellow. Poirot nods. But who struck you, mademoiselle? Langley, Moreau, or another? He sends a message to Jap to tail Langley and raid Crane's warehouse. As dawn breaks, Evelyn stares at the mirror shard from her satchel, its edges glinting. I thought Arthur was my way out, she says. Now I don't know who to trust. Poirot places a hand on hers. Trust the little gray cells. It will not betray you. The chapter closes with a phone call from Jap. Langley's vanished. Last seen heading to King's Cross Station. Trap or a desperate flight. Get ready for Chapter 5, where a chase to the coast unearths a hidden document that ties the Rutherfords to Lesiclat's schemes. Chapter 5. The coastal kloof, early morning mist clings to the cliffs of Dover as Poirot, Hastings, and Evelyn race toward the coast in a hired car, the engine roaring in pursuit of Arthur Langley. Dester Jap's telegram had been "Erg, please. Give next chapter int." Langley was spotted boarding a train to Dover, possibly aiming for a ferry to Calais to slip back into the web of Lesiclat's. Evelyn grips her satchel, the mirror shard inside glinting with every bump in the road, her mind wrestling with fragments of betrayal Arthur's lies, the scarred man's threats, and the growing sense that her family's wealth hides darker secrets. Hastings, at the wheel, glances at Poirot. What's this Langley running from, eh? Us, or his own gang? Poirot, his hat tilted against the sea breeze sneaking through the window, replies, he runs from the truth, mon ami. But Hercule Poirot will catch it first. They arrive at Dover's bustling port, where gulls screech and sailors shout over the clatter of crates. Jap meets them near the ferry terminal, his trench coat flapping in the wind. Here, all right, he says, pointing to a ticket stub found in a bin calabound, purchased an hour ago. Ferry's delayed due to rough seas, so he's holed up somewhere nearby. Poirot scans the crowd, dock workers, merchants, and passengers huddled against the chill. His eyes lock on a man in a gray overcoat, hat pulled low, slipping into a weathered pub called the Salty Anchor. Air, Poirot murmurs. Our quarry. Inside the pub is a haze of pipe smoke and ale, with fishermen swapping tales of storms. Langley sits alone in a corner booth, nursing a whiskey, his silver cigarette case glinting under the dim light. Poirot approaches, Hastings and Evelyn close behind. Monsieur Langley, Poirot says, sliding into the seat opposite. Sure. Flight ends here. Tell us of Lesiclat's and Mademoiselle Rutherford's role in their schemes. Langley's hand shakes, spilling whiskey. I told you, I loved Jane. I didn't know she'd get hurt. Evelyn steps forward, her voice sharp. You called me a liability, Arthur, in Paris with that man Moreau. What did I see? Langley's eyes dart to the door, but Jap blocks it, badge in hand. Cornered, he slumps. All right, Jane stumbled. Into a deal. Lesiclat's were moving stolen art paintings, jewels, looted from European estates. Her father's company was involved, laundering the profits through fake exports. Jane overheard me negotiating with Poirot in London before we left for Paris. She didn't understand at first, thought it was just business. But in Paris, she saw too much a crate of smuggled Renoirs, a ledger with her father's name. He pauses, lighting a cigarette. I tried to tell the police. I tried to calm her, but Poirot, he panicked. Followed us, cornered her in an alley. I heard a scream, glass breaking. When I found her, she was out cold, blood on her head. I thought she was dead, left her at that boarding house to keep her safe. Evelyn's face hardens. Safe. Abandon me, memory flashes. Arthur's voice pleading, then footsteps fading as pain engulfed her. Poirot leans in. The mirror shard, the blood. Langley swallows. Moreau smashed a mirror during the scuffle. I grabbed a piece, thought it might keep him from coming after me. Didn't know about the blood? Poirot's eyes narrow. Kept silent to save yourself? And the document is the one tying? The Rutherfords two less eclats? Langley hesitates, then pulls a crumpled envelope from his coat. This, I took it from Jane's bag in Paris, proof of her father's dealings. Poirot opens it, a contract signed by Sir Reginald Rutherford, detailing payments to a shell company linked to Hugo Crane. The broken circle symbol is stamped in the corner. Jap whistles. Blimey, that's enough to put Sir Reginald away for years. Evelyn stares at the paper, her voice trembling. My own father, part of this. Another fragment surfaces, an argument with Sir Reginald, his bellowing about keeping the family name clean. Before they can press further, a commotion erupts outside. Jap's men, stationed at the pub's entrance, shout as a figure bolts a man with a scarred cheek, Victor Moreau. Hastings gives chase, weaving through the crowded docks. But Moreau leaps onto a departing fishing boat, vanishing into the mist. Jap curses. Slippery devil. But we've got this. He pockets the contract, vowing to raid Crane's warehouse with a full squad. Langley, now in cuffs, glares at Evelyn. I tried to protect you, Jane. You should have stayed quiet. She turns away, tears in her eyes, but resolve in her voice. I'm remembering now, and I won't stay quiet. Back in the car, Poirot examines the contract closely. A hidden clause catches his eye, a reference to the Rutherford legacy. Tied to a trust fund in Jane's name, accessible only upon her marriage or death. Mon Dieu, Poirot murmurs. A motive beyond blackmail. If you died, mademoiselle, someone stood to gain millions. Hastings gasps. Edward, he was poking around that safe. Evelyn shakes her head. Or my father, to cover his tracks. Poirot tucks the document away. We return to London. Family must face this. They stop at a coastal inn to regroup, the sea crashing outside. Evelyn, staring at the mirror shard, recalls more. A woman's voice, her mother, warning her to stay away from the attic? Was it tied to her twin sister's death, or something else? Poirot telephones Scotland Yard, learning Crane's warehouse has been raided, yielding crates of stolen art, but no sign of Moreau or Crane, Jap adds. Found a ledger matching the contract. Sir Reginald's in deep meetings with Crane himself. Poirot's mind races. Was Jane's amnesia an accident, or a deliberate attempt to silence her? As they dine on fish and chips, Evelyn speaks softly. I trusted Arthur, my father, my family. Now it's all broken. Poirot pats her hand. The truth mends, mademoiselle, but it cuts first. Hastings, munching a chip, adds, Cheer up, Hawkins. We've got Poirot. Body outsmarts him. Poirot smiles faintly. Document is a key, but not the lock. Must uncover who struck you and why the attic haunts you. The chapter ends with the car speeding back to London, the contract tucked in Poirot's pocket like a loaded gun. The net tightens around less eclats, but the Rutherford family's secrets loom larger. Brace for Chapter 6, where a return to Rutherford Manor unearths a hidden diary that reveals Eliza's death was no accident. Chapter 6. The diary's secrets. The car hums along the winding roads back to Kent. The rolling hills bathed in the pale light of a late autumn afternoon. Hercule Poirot sits in the back, his gloved hands folded over the contract from Arthur Langley. Its damning evidence of Sir Reginald's ties to Les Eclats burning in his mind. Evelyn, her auburn hair tucked under a scarf, stares out the window. Her thoughts tangled with the memory of her mother's warning about the attic and the growing suspicion that her twin sister, Eliza's death, holds a key to her own fractured past. Hastings, driving with a touch more confidence after their Dover chase, glances back. Back to Rutherford Manor, eh? Feels like we're poking a hornet's nest. Poirot nods, his eyes gleaming. Oui, mon ami, but the nest must be. Stirred to find the Queen? They arrive at Rutherford Manor as dusk settles, the estate's imposing silhouette softened by golden lamplight spilling from its windows. Sir Reginald greets them at the door, his face a mask of forced hospitality, though his eyes flicker with unease at the sight of Evelyn. "Jane, you're back. Good. Your mother's been frantic." Lady Amelia appears, her frail hands clasped tightly, offering a weak smile. "We thought you'd stay in London, dear." Edward, lounging in the drawing-room with a brandy, smirks. "Still playing detective, Poirot? Find anything juicy?" Poirot ignores the jab, requesting a private tour of the attic. "Mademoiselle Jane's memories point there," he says. "We must explore." Sir Reginald hesitates but leads them upstairs, his heavy steps echoing on the oak staircase. The attic is a cavernous space, cluttered with dusty trunks, faded paintings, and cobwebbed furniture. A chill hangs in the air, and the cracked window where Eliza fell years ago, it's in a draft that rustles old curtains. Evelyn shivers, a memory surfacing, two girls giggling, then a scream, a struggle. "I was here," she whispers. "Elisa, she didn't just fall." Poirot, ever methodical, examines the window frame. The scratches he noted before are deeper than expected, suggesting force, not an accident. "Someone pushed her," perhaps he murmurs to Hastings, who nods grimly, while Sir Reginald hovers. Poirot distracts him with questions about the estate's history, allowing Hastings and Evelyn to search. Under a pile of moth-eaten blankets, Evelyn finds a small, locked diary, its leather cover embossed with E.R., Eliza Rutherford. Her hands tremble as she picks it up, a key tucked into its binding. "This was hers," she says, voice thick. Poirot joins her, and they open. The pages are filled with Eliza's neat script, detailing her life as the forgotten twin, overshadowed by Jane's charm. Entries from a decade ago grow darker. Father's business is dirty as stolen goods, secret deals. "I saw men in the study, one with a scar. He threatened me." Another page. "Jane doesn't believe me, says I'm imagining things, but I heard them in the attic, planning something awful." The final entry, dated the day Eliza died, chills them. They know I know. "The man with the scar, he's coming. Tonight, if anything happens, it's no accident. Jane, forgive me." Evelyn's eyes well up. "I didn't listen to her. I was here when she fell. I saw." Her voice breaks as a memory floods back. Eliza at the window, a shadow behind. Her a push, glass shattering. Poirot places a hand on her shoulder. "You were a child, mademoiselle. The guilt is not yours. But this diary, it names a killer." Sir Reginald, overhearing, snatches the diary, his face red. "This is nonsense." Eliza was troubled, always making up stories. But his hands shake, and Lady Amelia, who's crept upstairs, gasps, "Reginald, no more lies." She confesses. "Eliza found out about your dealings with those men-thieves criminals. She wanted to tell the police. You said you'd handle it." Her voice falters, and Edward, now in the doorway, laughs bitterly. "Handle it like you handled Jane's snooping? Father, you're in over your head." Poirot seizes the moment. "Oh, Sir Reginald, the contract we found names you as a partner to Les Eclats, laundering their profits." "You? Did Jane too?" Sir Reginald roars. "I'd never hurt my girls." But his bluster cracks as Evelyn holds up the diary. "Then who pushed Eliza? Who hit me?" A tense silence falls, broken only by the creak of the attic floor. Hastings, searching a nearby trunk, finds a hidden compartment containing a photograph. Sir Reginald, shaking hands with a man bearing a scar. Victor Moreau. Blimey, Poirot. It's him. Poirot's eyes blaze. Monsieur, you knew Moreau? He was here when Eliza died. Oui. And when Jane began asking questions, he struck again. Sir Reginald collapses into a chair, head in hands. I didn't mean for any of this. Elisa was poking into my ledgers. Moreau said he'd scare her, not kill her. When Jane started digging, I told him to warn her off, not hurt her. Lady Amelia sobs, "You let that monster into our home?" Edward steps forward, his face hard. "And what about the trust fund, father? Jane's death would have freed it up for you to pay your debts to Crane." Sir Reginald shakes his head. "I'd never," but Poirot cuts in. "The diary and contract are evidence. Inspector Japp will hear of this." As they descend, Evelyn clutches the diary, her memory sharpening, Moreau scarred. Face, her father's angry voice, the attic window shattering. "I saw him push her," she says. "I ran, but he caught me later in London. That's when he hit me." Poirot nods. "Your amnesia protected you, mademoiselle. You thought you'd forgotten." They telephone Japp, who's en route with a warrant for Sir Reginald. But a new worry emerges. Edward slips out during the chaos, claiming a business call. Poirot frowns. He knows too much. Is he protecting his father or himself? Dinner is tense, the family barely speaking. Lady Amelia retires early, overwhelmed. Evelyn, holding the diary, feels Eliza's presence, her twin's words a lifeline. To the truth. Poirot, sipping coffee, muses. The diary unlocks the past, but less eclats remain. Moreau is loose, and Crane lurks. Hastings, polishing his revolver, adds, "We'll get him, Poirot, but this family's a mess." Evelyn resolves, "I'll face them." For Eliza. As night falls, a noise outside a snapped twig puts Poirot on alert. He peers through the window, spotting a shadow near the stables. "The game continues," he says. The chapter closes with the manor cloaked in darkness, secrets spilling like blood. Hold on for Chapter 7, where a midnight ambush reveals Edward's true loyalties and a shocking link to Hugo Crane. Chapter 7. The midnight ambush. The moon hangs low over Rutherford Manor, casting jagged shadows across the sprawling lawns as the clock strikes midnight. Hercule Poirot, alert despite the late hour, stands by a window in the guest room, his sharp eyes scanning the grounds where a twig snap had signaled an intruder. Evelyn, clutching her twin sister Eliza's diary, sits on the edge of the bed, her face pale but resolute. The weight of her recovered memories, her sister's murder, her father's betrayal, pressing heavily. Upton Hastings, polishing his revolver with nervous energy, whispers, "Poirot, that shadow by the stables, think it's Moreau again." Poirot's mustache twitches. "Perhaps, mon ami, but Edward's absence troubles me more." His business call smells of deceit. The tension in the manor is palpable, with Sir Reginald under watch by one of Inspector Japp's men downstairs and Lady Amelia sequestered in her room. Overwhelmed by the revelations of her husband's criminal ties, Poirot, sensing the net closing on Les Eclats, decides to act. "We must investigate the stables," he says, slipping on his overcoat. "If Edward is meeting someone, we shall catch him in the act." Evelyn insists on joining, her voice firm. "I need to know what my brother's hiding," for Eliza. Hastings' revolver tucked into his belt nods. "All right, let's nab the blighter." They move silently through the manor's back corridors, avoiding creaky floorboards and slip out into the chilly night. The stables, a stone's throw from the house, smell of hay and leather, the horses snuffling softly in their stalls. A faint glow spills from a cracked door at the far end. Poirot gestures for quiet, and they creep closer, hearing low voices. One is Edward's, clipped and urgent. "Crane, you promised me the trust fund if Jane was out of the way. Eh? She's remembering your man botched it." The other voice, smooth and cold, replies, "Moreau's a loose cannon, but you're in too deep, Rutherford. Deliver the ledger, or you're done." Poirot exchanges a glance with Hastings. Hugo Crane himself, the mastermind behind Les Eclats, is here. Evelyn's breath catches. Her hand tightening on the diary as a memory flickers. Edward arguing with her father about money, his voice bitter, saying Jane's trust fund could save us. They edged closer, peering through the door's crack. Edward, in his sharp suit, hands a leather-bound ledger stolen from Sir Reginald's safe to a tall man in a tailored coat, his face half lit by a lantern. Crane's features are hawk-like, his eyes glinting with greed as he flips through the ledger, its pages detailing illicit transactions. Before Poirot can signal a move, a floorboard creaks under Hastings' foot. Crane's head snaps up, and he draws a pistol. "Who's there?" he barks. Edward spins, spotting them, and bolts toward a side exit. Hastings charges after him, shouting, "Stop, you cad!" Crane fires a shot, the bullet splintering wood near Poirot's head. Boland screams, dropping to the ground, but Poirot, with surprising agility, tackles Crane's legs, sending the gun skittering. A scuffle erupts. Hastings grapples with Edward, who fights like a cornered animal, while Poirot pins Crane, his cane pressing against the man's throat. "Enough, monsieur. The game is up." Evelyn, scrambling to her feet, grabs the ledger from the dirt. Crane snarls, "You'll regret this, Rutherford girl. You should have stayed lost." Her eyes blaze. "I'm Jane, and I'm done running." Hastings subdues Edward, twisting his arm until he yelps. Jap's officer, alerted by the gunshot, storms in with reinforcements, cuffing Crane and Edward. The ledger, now in Poirot's hands, reveals more than Sir Reginald's dealings. It lists Edward as a silent partner, funneling trust fund profits to Les Eclats in exchange for a cut. Back in the manor's drawing room, Jap takes charge, his men guarding the prisoners. Edward, defiant, spits, "I was saving the family. Father's debts were crippling us." Jane's trust fund was the only way out. Evelyn, clutching the diary, snaps, "You let Moreau kill Elisa. You plan to kill me too." Edward's face crumples, but he doesn't deny it. Crane, colder, sneers, "Your sister was a liability, just like you. Moreau took care of her, and he nearly finished you in London." Poirot interjects, "The mirror shard, monsieur? It was from that attack You thought Jane's amnesia would protect your scheme?" Crane shrugs, unrepentant. "She saw the ledger in London, followed Edward to a meet with Moreau, had to shut her up." Evelyn's memories fled back. Edward's voice in a dark alley, Moreau's fist, a mirror shattering as she fell. She turns to Poirot, tears streaming. "I trusted them all, father, Edward, Arthur. They all lied." Poirot nods solemnly. "The truth is painful, mademoiselle, but it sets you free." Jap confiscates the ledger, promising a full investigation into Les Eclats. "We've got enough to dismantle their network," he says. Crane's singing already, naming names. Edward, head bowed, mutters, "I didn't mean for Eliza to die. Moreau went too far." But his words ring hollow. Summoned. Downstairs collapses in a chair, his empire crumbling. "I thought I could control it," he whispers. "For the family." Lady Amelia, joining them, looks at her husband and son with disgust. "You destroyed us." As dawn breaks, Poirot, Hastings, and Evelyn sit by the fire, the diary and contract on the table. Evelyn traces Eliza's initials on the diaries. "Cover, she tried to warn me. I'll make sure her story's told." Hastings, bruised but proud, claps her shoulder. "You're a tough one, Jane, braver than I'd be." Poirot, sipping a tisane, muses, "The pieces are nearly complete. But Victor Moreau remains at large. He is the final shard." A phone call from Jap interrupts. "Moreau's been spotted in London, near the Thames. We're closing in," Jap says. "Stay sharp, Poirot." The chapter closes with the manor quiet, the family shattered, and a dangerous man still on the loose. Gear up for Chapter 8, where a final chase along the Thames uncovers Moreau's last secret and a shocking twist about Eliza's fate. Chapter 8. The Thames pursuit. The London dawn breaks gray and heavy, the Thames shimmering like liquid steel under a sky bruised with clouds. Hercule Poirot, Captain Hastings, and Evelyn now firmly, Jane Rutherford speed toward the City Inn. A police car, sirens muted but urgency crackling in the air. Inspector Jap's call about Victor Moreau's sighting near the Thames has set them on a collision course with the last loose thread of Les Eclats. Jane clutches her sister Eliza's diary. Its pages a haunting reminder of the truth she's reclaimed, her twin's murder, her family's betrayal, and her own brush with death. Hastings, gripping the car door as Jap weaves through traffic, mutters, "This Moreau's a ghost, slipping away every time. What's he after now?" Poirot, his eyes fixed on the road, replies, "Revenge, perhaps, or silence." Net closes. They reach Wapping, a gritty riverside district where warehouses loom like silent giants, their shadows pooling on cobblestones slick with morning dew. Jap briefs them. Moreau was spotted near an old dock, possibly meeting a contact. My men are combing the area, but he's armed and slippery. Jane's face hardens, a memory flashing. Moreau's scarred face in a London alley. The glint of a broken mirror as pain exploded in her skull. "He's the one who hit me," she says. "Killed Eliza. I want to face him." Poirot nods, cautioning, "Stay close, mademoiselle. Courage is noble, but danger is real." The trio, flanked by two of Jap's officers, moves toward the docks, the air thick with the temps of salt and tar. The temps laps against rotting piers, and gulls circle overhead, their cries sharp. Poirot's keen eyes spot a flicker of movement behind a stack of crates. A man in a dark coat, scar visible even in the dim light. "Moreau," he whispers, signaling Jap. They fan out, Hastings gripping his revolver, Jane's heart pounding. As they close in, but Moreau, sensing the trap, bolts his boots splashing through puddles as he darts toward a narrow alley between warehouses. A chase erupts. Chaotic and breathless. Hastings sprints ahead, shouting, "Stop, you blighter!" While Jap's men flank the alley's exits, Poirot, less nimble but cunning, cuts through a side passage, anticipating Moreau's route. Jane, against Poirot's warning, follows Hastings, her determination outweighing fear. The alley twists toward the river, where a small boat bobs, ready for escape. Moreau reaches it, fumbling with the ropes, but Hastings tackles him, the two. Crashing onto the wet planks, Moreau fights dirty, landing a punch that bloodies Hastings' nose, but Jap's officers pile in, pinning him down. Jane steps forward, her voice steady despite the chaos. "Why Moreau? Why Elisa? Why me?" Moreau, panting, sneers through his scar. "Your sister was nosy, poking into Crane's deals. Had to go. You saw too much in London, followed Edward, saw the ledger. Couldn't let you talk." Poirot, arriving, holds up the mirror shard from Jane's satchel. "This, monsieur, from your attack. The blood hers?" Moreau laughs. "Cold. Hers. Thought I'd finished her." "Crane's orders?" Jap cuffs Moreau, but Poirot's attention shifts to a leather pouch dropped during the scuffle. A locket, old and tarnished, with a tiny photograph of two girls, Jane and Eliza, aged 10, smiling at that long-ago picnic. Jane gasps, tears welling. This was Eliza's. She wore it always. Moreau shrugs. Took it as a trophy. Kept. It too remind me of loose ends. But Poirot's eyes narrow, catching a detail in the locket's engraving. ER2, JR forever. Memory floods Jane, giving Eliza the locket, promising to always protect her. "I failed her," she whispers, as Jap's men haul Moreau away. Poirot examines the boat, finding a hidden compartment with papers, forged passports, a map marked with Les Eclats safe houses, and a note in Crane's handwriting. "Eliminate the girl. No more risks." Hastings, wiping blood from his face, grumbles, "Blimey, Poirot, this lot's ruthless." "Crane's locked up, but was he the top dog?" Poirot shakes his head. "Non mon ami. There's one more player hidden in the shadows." Back at Scotland Yard, Jap interrogates Moreau. It spills details under pressure. Les Eclats' network spans Paris, London, and Berlin, with a mysterious leader known only as Le Miroir, the mirror. The broken circle symbol, Moreau, reveals is a nod to a shattered mirror, a code for their operations. Jane, listening, feels a chill. The mirror shard. It's not just from my attack. It's their mark. Poirot nods, piecing it together. Le Miroir orchestrated Elise's death in your silencing, mademoiselle. But why such fear of you? A new clue emerges when Jap's team analyzes the locket. Hidden inside, behind the photograph, is a tiny folded note in Eliza's handwriting. The vault under the manor holds the truth. Tell Jane. Poirot's mustache twitches. The manor again. We overlooked something. Jane's memories stir. A childhood game, sneaking into a cellar with Eliza. Finding a locked door her father forbade them to touch. The vault. She says. Eliza knew something was there, something father hid. They return to Whitehaven Mansions to plan. Jane, holding the locket, feels Eliza's presence stronger than ever. She's guiding me, she says. Hastings, bandaged but spirited, adds, Let's crack that vault, Poirot. Bet it's stuffed with Lesiclat's secrets. Poirot sips his tisane, his mind racing. The vault may hold the final peace-proof of Le Miroir's identity, but we must beware. Moreau's capture will not go unnoticed. As night falls, Jap calls with news. Crane, in custody, has hinted at a woman pulling strings in Lesiclat's, figure with ties to the Rutherfords. Jane's eyes widen. She knew about father's deals, warned me about the attic. Poirot frowns. Perhaps, or another we have not suspected. The chapter closes with the Thames flowing darkly, secrets rippling beneath its surface. Prepare for Chapter 9, where the vault's contents expose Le Miroir and a betrayal closer than Jane ever imagined. Chapter 9. The vault's revelation. The journey back to Rutherford Manor feels heavier. The Kent countryside blurring past as the weight of Eliza's locket and its hidden note. The vault under the manor holds the truth, pulls Jane Rutherford toward a final reckoning. Hercule Poirot, seated beside her in the car, polishes his cane with a handkerchief, his mind weaving together the threads of Lesiclat's, the mirror shard, and the mysterious Le Miroir. Captain Hastings, driving with a bandage still on his nose. From the Thames chase, glances back. This vault better have answers, Poirot. I'm tired of running after shadows. Poirot's eyes glint. Mon ami, the shadows are clearing. The vault will light the final path. They arrive at the manor under a sky heavy with impending rain, the estate's grandeur now tarnished by betrayal. Sir Reginald is in custody. Edward and Hugo Crane are locked away, and Lady Amelia awaits them in the drawing room, her frail form hunched, eyes red from crying. Jane, clutching the locket, faces her mother. Eliza left a note about a vault. You warned me about the attic, did. You know what she found? Lady Amelia's hands tremble, but she shakes her head. I only knew your father's business was trouble. I told Eliza to stay quiet, to protect you both. Her voice cracks, and Poirot notes a flicker of fear, genuine, or an act. Determined to find the vault, Poirot leads them to the cellar, accessed through a heavy door behind the kitchen. The air grows damp and cold as they descend stone steps, lit by a single flickering bulb. Jane's memories stir. Childhood games with Elisa, sneaking down here, giggling until Sir Reginald's shout sent them scurrying. There, she says, pointing to a rusted iron door set into the wall, its lock heavy and ancient. Hastings, ever practical, fetches a crowbar from the gardener's shed, and with a grunt pries it open, hinges groaning like a warning. Inside, the vault is a small chamber, its walls lined with shelves of dusty ledgers and locked boxes. A faint smell of mildew lingers, and a single bulb casts eerie shadows. Poirot's eyes scan the shelves, landing on a box marked with a broken circle symbol of Lesiclat's. Jane, heart pounding, opens it with a key found in the vault's lock. Inside, a collection of letters, photographs, and a small, ornate mirror intact, unlike the shard in her satchel. The letters, in a woman's elegant hand, are signed Le Miroir and addressed to Sir Reginald, detailing orders for art thefts, blackmail schemes, and payments to Victor Moreau. One letter stands out. Eliza's curiosity is a threat. Remove her, or the trust fund is ours. Jane gasps. Right. This is why she died. Poirot examines the photographs. Sir Reginald with Crane, Edward with Moreau, and shockingly Lady Amelia in a Paris café, laughing with a younger woman whose face is strikingly familiar. Mon Dieu, Poirot murmurs, holding the photo to the light. This woman? She is you, mademoiselle, but older, not Jane. Jane's breath catches. Eliza? But she's dead. Memory surges. Two girls, identical, one falling, the other running. Hastings, peering over frowns. Blimey. Could Eliza be alive? Faked her death? Lady Amelia, who's followed them silently, collapses against the wall, sobbing. I didn't want to believe it, she whispers. After Eliza fell, I saw her body. But later, I got letters signed Le Miroir. I thought it was a cruel trick. Poirot's eyes blaze. Madame, you suspected your daughter lived, leading les éclats. Why stay silent? Amelia chokes out. I was afraid. Reginald said it was impossible that she was gone. But the letters, they knew things only Eliza could. The ornate mirror holds a clue. Its back is engraved with R, my reflection. Jane, trembling, holds it beside her shard. They match edges fitting like a puzzle. Eliza left this for me, she says. She's alive, leading them to destroy father. Poirot nods, piecing it together. Eliza survived the fall, perhaps. Aided by Moreau, she became Le Miroir, orchestrating revenge against the family that failed her. Your attack, mademoiselle, was her warning to silence you as you grew close to her truth. They rush upstairs, confronting Amelia with the letters. She admits to hiding Eliza's survival, fearing scandal and Reginald's wrath. I saw her once in Paris, years ago, she confesses. She was different, cold, driven. She said she'd ruin us for letting her suffer. Jane, reeling, feels betrayal's sting anew. My twin, alive, and she tried to kill me. Poirot calm says, revenge blinds, mademoiselle, but we must find her. Ah! A call from Jap interrupts. A woman matching Eliza's description was spotted at a London safe house, one marked on Moreau's map. We're moving in, Jap says. Meet us there. Poirot, Jane, and Hastings race to London, the vault's revelations burning in their minds. The safe house, a nondescript flat in Whitechapel, is surrounded by Jap's men when they arrive. Inside, they find forged documents, more stolen art, and a note in Eliza's hand. Jane, you were always the favorite. I'll finish what I started. Rain begins to fall. Poirot spots a figure slipping out a back window, a woman with auburn hair, Jane's mirror image. Jane shouts, Eliza, but the figure vanishes into the storm. Hastings curses, she's a ghost. Poirot, undeterred, clutches the ornate mirror. Not a ghost, mon ami. A sister lost to vengeance. We will find her. The chapter closes. With the rain hammering London, Eliza's shadow just out of reach, and Jane's heart torn between love and betrayal. Get ready for Chapter 10, where a final confrontation unveils the full truth of Eliza's survival and the cost of her revenge. Chapter 10. The shattered reflection, the storm rages over London. Thunder rumbling like the final act of a tragic opera as Hercule Poirot, Captain Hastings, and Jane Rutherford pursue the ghost of Eliza through the rain-slicked streets of Whitechapel. Jane's heart hammers in her chest. The ornate mirror from the vault clutched in her hand, its surface fogged with droplets, but its truth crystal clear. Her twin sister, presumed dead for a decade, is alive, twisted by revenge into Le Miroir. The enigmatic leader of Les Éclats, Inspector Jap's men fan out, flashlights cutting through the downpour. But Eliza's auburn hair vanishes around a corner, a mirror image of Jane herself fleeing into the night. Hastings, soaked and determined, shouts over the wind. She's heading for the old warehouse district crane's territory. Poirot, his Homburg hat dripping, urges them on. Hurry, Mies, Amos. The endgame is upon us. She seeks to erase the last fragment, her sister. They track her to an abandoned warehouse by the Thames. Its rusted doors creaking in the gale, the same place where they'd raided Les Éclats operations weeks ago. Stab's officers surround the building, but Poirot insists on entering first. With Jane and Hastings, knowing this confrontation is personal, inside, the cavernous space echoes with the patter of rain on the tin roof, crates of stolen art looming like silent witnesses. A single lantern flickers in the center. illuminating Eliza Rutherford identical to Jane in every way. Save for the hardness in her eyes and a faint scar along her jaw, hidden by makeup in the photographs, but visible now. She stands poised, a pistol in her hand, her auburn hair plastered to her face. "Jane," she says, her voice a chilling echo of their shared past. "You always were the one who got everything, the love, the trust fund, the life I was denied." Jane steps forward, the mirror held out like a shield, her voice trembling but strong. "Eliza, I thought you were dead. I mourned you. What happened that night in the attic?" Eliza's laugh is bitter, echoing off the walls. "Dead. Wished I was, after father pushed me. He didn't mean to kill me, just scare me silent about his dirty deals with Crane and Moreau. I hit the ground, broken but alive. Moreau found me, nursed me back in secret. He saw potential a discarded Rutherford, fueled by hate, became Le Miroir, building less eclats from the shadows, stealing art to fund my revenge, blackmailing. The family that abandoned me? Poirot, his little gray cells firing, interjects. Mademoiselle Eliza, you orchestrated it all. The broken mirror in the attic was your symbol? We? You left the shard in Jane's satchel as a messenger? Reflection shattered, your identity fractured. Eliza nods, her pistol steady. Clever Poirot. I survived, changed my face slightly with surgery, and rose. Father's debts? Created them, funneling money through Edward, who was too greedy to see he was my pawn. Arthur Langley? Planted? Him to lure Jane close, make her fall in love, then betray her. But she started remembering, digging like I did. Moreau botched the hit and London meant to kill her, but the amnesia was a cruel twist. I let her live, thinking she'd forgotten, but you pieced it together. Hastings, revolver drawn but hesitant, growls. You're mad? Your own sister? Eliza's eyes flash with pain. Sister. She was the golden child, mother knew. I lived, sent me money in Paris, begged me to stay away. But I couldn't. The trust fund was mine by right. Jane's marriage or death would release it. I planned to frame father for her murder, watch the family crumble. Jane, tears mixing. With rain, holds up the locket. I gave this to you. We were inseparable. Why turn on me? Liza falters, her pistol wavering. As you didn't believe me back then. You called my warnings fantasies. When I died, you moved on, while I clawed from the grave. Truth unfolds in Eliza's confession, raw and unfiltered. As a child, she discovered Sir Reginald's early ties to art smugglers, precursors to les éclats. She confronted him, leading to the attic struggle. Surviving, she allied with Moreau, who became her enforcer. Over years, she built the organization, recruiting Crane as a frontman, manipulating Edward with promises of wealth and using Arthur. To infiltrate Jane's life, the Paris trip was a setup. Jane was meant to witness a deal and be eliminated, but her escape and amnesia complicated things. The mirror shard, stained with Jane's blood from Moreau's attack, was left. As a taunt, a piece of Eliza's shattered world. Poirot, circling slowly, speaks softly. But you could not kill her outright, could you? Blood calls to blood. The notes, the warnings, they were cries for redemption. Eliza's facade cracks, the pistol lowering slightly. I watched her from afar. Part of me wanted her to remember to join me against father. Dumb, but revenge consumed me. Jane approaches, mirroring her twin's stance. It's not too late. We can end this. For us. Thunder crashes as Eliza raises the gun again, conflicted. Hastings tenses, but Poirot shouts, Nan, look into the mirror, mademoiselle. I see your true reflection, not Le Miroir, but Eliza. Rutherford. Eliza glances at the ornate mirror Jane holds, seeing their twin faces side by side, identical yet divided. A sob escapes her. I can't go back. Too much blood. In that moment, Jap's men burst in, alerted by the noise. Surrounding her, Eliza drops the pistol, surrendering her empire of shadows collapsing. As she's cuffed, she whispers to Jane, Forgive me, sister. I was lost. Jane, embracing her briefly, replies, "We both were, but we're found now." In the aftermath, at Whitehaven Mansions, the storm clears, sunlight filtering through the windows. Poirot arranges the clues on his table, the mirror shard fitted back into the ornate frame. The diary, the locket, the letters all whole at last. Les Eclats is dismantled, its members arrested, the stolen art recovered. Sir Reginald faces trial for his crimes, Edward for conspiracy, Crane and Moreau for murder, and more. Lady Amelia, complicit in silence, seeks reconciliation with her daughters. Eliza, in custody, begins to heal. Her testimony sealing the case, but earning leniency for cooperation. Jane, her identity restored, sits with Poirot and Hastings, sipping tea. "I was broken, Monsieur Poirot, but you reassembled me." Poirot smiles, twirling his mustache. "The little gray cells, mademoiselle. They see the fragments as one. You and Alyssa, two sides of a mirror. Now, reflect on a new life." Hastings raises a toast to solved mysteries and mended families. Jane nods, the weight lifted, and 2 second chances. As the sun sets over London, Jane visits Eliza in prison, the sisters beginning to rebuild, shard by shard. The case of the broken identity closes, a puzzle perfected. And that's the end of our tale, folks. If you enjoyed this twisty adventure with Hercule Poirot, hit that like button. Subscribe for more mystery scripts and storytelling videos, and drop a comment below. Who do you think was the biggest betrayer in the story?
Thanks for watching.
Stay curious.